All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and joining us. My name is Melissa Roswell, and I am one of the co-founders of the Women's Council of Entrepreneurs. We also have Allie Everhard on, who I don't know if you can see her, if she can wave or talk and say hello. I don't know if y'all can see her, but she'll also be on this call helping to field questions and run some of the other things. So Women's Council of Entrepreneurs is a support group for women entrepreneurs. We normally host educational and inspirational type events, as well as speed networking. Of course, all of that is on hold, and we're doing virtual events now. So this is one of the events that we are doing to help you guys. We're small business owners as well, and so right now is a very overwhelming and confusing time for everyone. So we just wanted to get Valerie Mayer from the SBA on to answer a few questions, to explain about the programs that are going on with the SBA, how you can apply for them, and then of course for you guys to get to ask questions. We also have Lalitha Rahman from SCORE, who you'll learn a little bit more about in the presentation, but it's another resource that's available to you, and she will also be on to answer questions. So before I turn it over to Valerie, I just want to let you know that there is a chat box that you can go ahead and ask your questions, and we'll read them at the end. But feel free to ask as the presentation's going on if you don't understand something or want clarification, and we'll get that going. And let's see, I see Valerie on here. I'm going to unmute you, Valerie. Can you hear me? You can unmute yourself.
I can. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, I hear you, and I've got your presentation up, and I'll just go through it.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm Valerie Marr with the Houston SBA office, and I am joined by our district director, Tim Jeffcoat.
Good morning.
As well as business opportunity specialist, Ida Benson. So we are going to go through this slideshow presentation. It looks like we'll do chat questions at the end. So if you have questions as we go, please put them in the chat and we will answer everything at the end. So if we go to the next slide, what we are going to talk about today is disaster loan assistance from the SBA, which is available for small businesses and nonprofits, as well as non-financial assistance from SBA and our resource partners. Next slide.
Sure, I'll chime in and help a little bit here. How a disaster gets declared. This is probably one of the most confusing things for business owners to understand. There is a formal process. I know we know what's happening. We see people sick around us, but there still is a process that has to be undertaken. So basically 5 steps. The local emergency management folks document the disaster using some criteria that SBA gives them. That documentation goes to the governor, who then declares a state of emergency or disaster that is different than the one that the state of Texas did last week. The one last week, if you saw where the governor said there was a state of emergency, consider that a key. And he was unlocking some state funds to be used for state level work. This disaster declaration basically is the key that unlocks the door for SBA to start working in Texas, helping small businesses. So the 4th step, he sends that declaration to the SBA, and then assuming everything is okay with that, we officially start or declare a disaster area, and only at that time can the applications be received for the what's called economic injury disaster loans.
Next slide. Go ahead and go to the next one. We updated since I sent you this one. So let's take a look at the economic injury disaster loans, which we'll often refer to as EIDL loans. These are loans up to $2 million. They are for small businesses and private nonprofits. The loan proceeds can be used to pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills affected by the disaster. Small businesses are looking at a fixed interest rate of 3.75 for businesses without credit available elsewhere, and we can talk more about that later. And businesses with credit elsewhere, they are not eligible for this type of assistance. 2.75% interest rate for nonprofits, and the repayment terms can go up to 30 years, and that's determined on a case-by-case basis. So let's talk a little bit more about credit available elsewhere. We can go back, yeah, we can stay there for a second. So credit available elsewhere. So if you have personal resources to get you through this disaster, that's what you need to be using. Or if you have a good relationship with your banker, that may be an avenue where you want to proceed with first.
Yeah, the intent here is for the small business that's doing well, you're current on your obligations, you have basically a healthy business with healthy credit, but you don't have a big pile of cash in the bank, and you don't have existing credit facilities with lenders that you can tap to get through this. That's the point. Otherwise, if you do have those credit facilities, or if you happen to have $500,000 in the bank, then you would not be eligible for an economic injury disaster loan. This is intended for that business that does not have another option.
Next slide. So how to apply for an economic injury disaster loan. So for a physical disaster such as Hurricane Harvey, we set up disaster recovery centers here locally, and applicants could go into these locations and apply there. This is different in that it will all be virtual or online. The application process, once it is open, you can go to www.sba.gov/disaster. You'll see an apply for assistance button. You can click on that. You can go ahead and do that now and set up your account. You can get your login information set up. You just will not be able to actually start the application until that disaster is officially declared for the state of Texas at the federal level, which we believe is imminent. But as of right now, you would not be able to fill out the application. So the Disaster Servicing Center will be processing, approving, and dispersing these loans. So it's important to have the Disaster Service Center information. Their phone number is 800-659-2955, and their email is disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. And Melissa has these slides, and she'll be able to send them out to you, or I can send them to you as well. Next slide. So what do you need to apply? So once you go into that system, all the documents will be laid out for you, but what you're basically looking at is completing an IRS Form 4506T. This will give SBA the authority to check your tax returns, which you will have to submit. And this will be required for anyone that owns 20% or more of the business, any general partner or managing member, and any owner who owns more than 50% of an affiliate business. 2 years of complete business tax returns with all schedules is what we'll be looking for, as well as a personal financial statement and a schedule of liabilities for all fixed debts. Even better is if you have 2 years of complete financial statements, including your profit and loss, balance sheet, monthly revenue records for the last 2 years is also going to be helpful, because what SBA Disaster is going to do is they are going to do a forecast of what did you look like at this time last year as far as sales compared to this time. We wanted to see the effect of what this disaster has done to your cash flow. So getting all those documents together now while we're waiting for the disaster to be declared in Texas is going to be helpful. So once you hit that application, you'll be able to upload and fill out the necessary forms. And you can also go to that disaster website, sba.gov/disaster. You can look in the top right, you'll see a loan information button. You click on that and you can see the different forms that are going to be required. So if you haven't checked out sba.gov/disaster, it'll be good to become familiar with that site, and you can start navigating that after this call. Next slide. So the three-step disaster process. So you apply online per the previous slide, uploading all the required documentation and filling out the forms. That information will be verified and your credit will be checked by the Disaster Loan Service Center. The loan officer will complete forecast to determine the loan amount. A loan officer will contact the applicant to make a recommendation and discuss the next steps. Now, this process can normally take up to 4 weeks. I believe on the disaster website, it says 5 days to 4 weeks. It's really dependent upon volume and the documentation that you're submitting and how many times they have to come back to you, just like any loan process. From the loan processing decision, the loan is closed and funded, which means documents are signed. The initial disbursement is $25,000 within 5 days, and a case manager is assigned to help you with the rest of the disbursements. So if you apply for $2 million, you're not going to get that $2 million at one time. But again, a case manager will help you work through those disbursements. Next slide. Disaster bridge loans. So it's important to talk with your current banker. One, they may be able to get you a loan faster than through the SBA disaster loan process. We're working on compiling a list of bankers who will be doing disaster bridge loans. This will help you get through the time period of waiting for the application to come up, for the Disaster Loan Center to process your request, and for the loan to actually disperse. So the bridge loan is kind of trying to make that timing a little less cumbersome. And again, we're working with SBA lenders in the area to see how that program is going to look, and we're in that phase now, and we'll definitely be pushing out that information. Your existing bank may offer SBA Express bridge loans, so it is important to be engaged with your current banker. Bridge loans are usually smaller, but can be done quickly, and they would need to be repaid by any disaster loan proceeds should you receive them. So many businesses may not need a disaster loan. So it just depends on your financial shape of your business. We don't want someone getting a disaster loan or a loan that they have to pay back if they don't need it. And again, your bank or a traditional bank, that financing may be available. Again, please talk to your current banker and see what they are able to offer you. It may be quicker. So kind of just case by case basis, but please be in conversation with your banker. Also, local entities unaffiliated with the SBA may also offer help. We saw this a lot during Hurricane Harvey, but at this time we are not aware of any. And again, we are monitoring the situation, and if we do see any other organizations offering low interest loans or grants, we'll be pushing that information out as well. Next slide. So this slide is about important non-monetary assistance from SBA. So if you're not aware, SBA has 3 local resource partners: the Texas Gulf Coast Small Business Development Center, SCORE, and the Women's Business Center. This is a group of business mentors and advisors who can offer free business assistance. Many of them are not having office hours in person, however, they're available virtually. This is by phone, this is by email. We'll give contact information for them at the end. But what they can help you during this time is with your cash flow management, short-term and long-term. They can help you with your messaging. It's important to stay engaged with your customers, and they can help you navigate through that. For anyone who may import or export, they can help you with any issues you're having there, as well as supply chain management. And if you're not having issues at this time, it's important maybe now to start doing some strategic planning and financial tune-up so that you're able to prosper after the disaster, or for any disasters that are forthcoming after this, as well as risk management and insurance counseling. So again, our 3 SBA resource partners are here to help you virtually, and it is free. And we'll get the contact information here in just a little bit. The next slide is for if you have a current SBA loan. This is a non-disaster SBA loan. Lenders or bankers may be able to help you with payment deferments. So again, contact your current bank holders and see what opportunities they have as far as deferments go, because that can help you with your cash flow. These are our resource partners that I just spoke about: the Small Business Development Center, SCORE, the Women's Business Center, and our information here. Again, you can contact them via phone. Their websites are there as well. We will go ahead and open up for questions, and I'm sure there are a lot. We can help you with your specific scenarios.
Okay, so make sure and enter your questions in the chat box and we'll ask those.
We did have one. How do the requirements apply for new businesses that don't have 2 years of financial information?
So, I mean, you still have a chance to receive a loan. Just because you're a startup or you don't have 2 years of financials, you would want to submit whatever historical information you do have available, as well as any projections. That should not limit you from applying or being able to get this loan. So you'll want to submit everything year to date and as far back as you can go. So still encourage you to apply.
And then also there was, you mentioned the SBA loans that are non-disaster related. Can you apply for those right now as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, if you, this is Tim Jeffcoat. So if you are interested in pursuing a non-disaster loan because you're thinking about expansion, or you have some new acquisitions you need to make, or things of that nature, this is a great time. You should avail yourselves of any of the roughly 300 SBA lenders that we have in this district. If you are uncertain of who you should talk to about that, it's probably your existing bank. So whoever you currently work with is probably an SBA lender. So you would want to ask whoever you work with at the bank that you want to talk to someone in their SBA department, and then they should connect you with the people that really understand small business banking really well. But yes, if you are interested in some growth plans or something of that nature, absolutely go right ahead and contact them. It's conceivable that right now they might be a little bit slow because of the nature of the disaster, but then again, they may actually have excess capacity.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. We just wanted to thank, obviously, the SBA for coming on here and explaining all this. If you guys have any other questions, please contact them because they can obviously help you with anything. If you would like to follow Women's Council of Entrepreneurs on Facebook, go ahead and take a picture of the screen right now. You can find more resources there and all the information about our upcoming events. And thank you all for joining us today. And we hope you stay safe out there.